That uneasy feeling when someone's smile doesn't quite reach their eyes, when their compliments carry a subtle sting, when their helpfulness feels somehow threatening. You're not imagining things. Beneath the surface of polite social interaction lies a complex web of unconscious hostility that Jung recognized as a fundamental aspect of human relationships. The shadow, that dark collection of traits and impulses we deny in ourselves, doesn't just disappear when we push it down. Instead, it finds expression through projection, attaching itself to others like an invisible film. You might notice this when someone's reaction to you seems disproportionate, when their criticism feels oddly personal, when their helpful suggestions consistently undermine your confidence. Hatred rarely shows itself directly in our socially polished world. Instead, it wraps itself in smiles, drapes itself in concern, disguises itself as constructive criticism. This isn't always conscious deception. Often the person themselves isn't aware of their hostile feelings. Their conscious mind might genuinely believe in their friendly intentions, while their unconscious acts out its animosity through subtle sabotage. The language of unconscious hostility speaks through 1,000 small gestures: the slightly too long pause before responding to your success, the forgetting of important details that matter to you, the backhanded compliments that leave you feeling vaguely diminished. These aren't random behaviors, but expressions of unconscious patterns that Jung observed in human relationships. Understanding projection in relationships reveals why someone's apparent hatred might have little to do with you personally. Their hostility often says more about their own unacknowledged shadow material than about your actual qualities. As we explore the specific signs of hidden animosity, you'll discover why recognizing these patterns is crucial for your psychological well-being. Section 1. The hidden signs. Your instincts pick up hostility before your conscious mind can name it. Watch for those micro moments, when someone's face tightens at your success, when their smile freezes for a fraction too long, when their eyes don't match their congratulatory words. The body betrays what the persona tries to hide. These aren't just random expressions, but unconscious leaks of genuine feeling. You might notice their body subtly turning away while engaging with you, their arms crossing when you speak, their feet pointing toward the exit, all signs that their unconscious mind is rejecting your presence. They orchestrate subtle sabotage through seemingly helpful actions. Notice how they forget crucial information you need, share your confidential struggles with others under the guise of concern, or consistently undermine your confidence through backhanded compliments. These passive-aggressive behaviors often come packaged in plausible deniability. "I thought you knew about the meeting change," they say, or "I'm just trying to help you improve." The hostility hides in the gap between their stated intentions and the consistent pattern of undermining actions. Shadow projection reveals itself through their excessive criticism of specific traits in you. Pay attention when someone seems irrationally triggered by particular aspects of your personality. Their disproportionate reactions often point to their own disowned qualities. You might notice them constantly pointing out your selfishness while being blind to their own self-centered behaviors, or criticizing your attention-seeking while monopolizing every conversation. This projection serves a dual purpose. It helps them deny these traits in themselves while justifying their hostility toward you. The language of subtle rejection speaks through 1,000 small dismissals. They interrupt your stories, check their phone when you're speaking, or respond with minimal engagement to your contributions. In group settings, they might acknowledge everyone's ideas except yours, or subtly reframe your suggestions as their own. Watch for how they create physical and psychological distance, always being too busy to meet, placing objects between you during interactions, or positioning themselves away from you in group situations. Even positive interactions can carry hidden hostility. Beware of excessive praise that makes you feel somehow diminished, advice that subtly suggests your inadequacy, or help that creates dependency. They might publicly praise you in ways that actually highlight your flaws, share your achievements with additions that minimize them, or support you in ways that undermine your autonomy. These interactions leave you feeling vaguely uncomfortable, but unable to pinpoint why. Your unconscious mind recognizes the hostility their conscious mind is hiding. As we delve into the psychological mechanics behind these behaviors, you'll understand why people who consciously wish you well might unconsciously work toward your downfall. Section 2. The psychological mechanics. Deep beneath conscious awareness, a complex psychological dance unfolds in every relationship. The masking of hostile feelings isn't simple deception. It's an intricate defense mechanism developed early in life. When a child learns that direct expression of anger leads to rejection, they develop sophisticated ways of disguising these emotions. In adult relationships, this early programming creates layers of behavior where genuine feelings hide behind socially acceptable masks. You might recognize this in yourself when you maintain a pleasant facade towards someone while feeling unexplained animosity. They construct elaborate personas to conceal shadow material. The person who presents themselves as perpetually helpful might be suppressing deep resentment about always having to be the good one. This persona, the social mask Jung identified, becomes both prison and protection. Watch how they maintain perfect composure in group settings, while subtle signs of hostility leak through in private moments. Their excessive friendliness often signals an attempt to suppress contrary feelings, creating an uncanny valley effect where their positivity feels somehow off. Shadow aspects poison relationships through unconscious channels. Your success might trigger their buried feelings of inadequacy. Their unacknowledged competitive impulses emerge as subtle undermining behaviors. This shadow dance creates situations where both parties feel the hostility, but neither can directly address it. The person who praises you publicly while sabotaging you privately isn't necessarily conscious of their duplicity. They're acting out complex psychological patterns formed long before they met you. Projection and displacement transform internal conflicts into external enemies. When someone carries unresolved anger toward an authority figure, they might unconsciously cast you in that role, especially if you share similar traits. Their hostility feels personal, but actually reflects their unfinished emotional business. Notice how certain people consistently trigger intense negative reactions in others. They've become convenient screens for collective shadow projection. The dynamic becomes self-reinforcing as others join in, creating what Jung called participation mystique. The friend-enemy dynamic reveals itself through polarized reactions. The same person who excessively praises you one day might subtly undermine you the next. This splitting occurs because they haven't integrated their ambivalent feelings. Instead of acknowledging their mixed emotions, they oscillate between extremes. Their conscious mind maintains the friendship, while their unconscious acts out the enmity. This creates a confusing dynamic where you never know which version of them you'll encounter, yet each maintains plausible deniability. Section 3. Awareness. Your awareness of hidden hostility shouldn't lead to paranoia, but to deeper understanding. Recognition of these dynamics offers an opportunity for psychological growth. Instead of becoming suspicious of every interaction, use this knowledge to develop what Jung called the observing ego, that part of you that can notice patterns without becoming entangled in them. When you sense hostility beneath someone's friendly facade, pause. Ask yourself what this interaction might reveal about both their shadow and yours. This awareness creates space for conscious response rather than automatic reaction. They act out their shadow material through you because you represent something significant in their unconscious. Understanding this frees you from taking their hostility personally. Watch how their reactions often tell you more about their psychological state than about your actual behavior. Instead of defending against their projections, learn to recognize them as valuable information about the other person's inner world. This doesn't mean accepting mistreatment, but understanding its deeper sources. Their excessive criticism of your confidence might reveal their own buried insecurities. Their subtle undermining of your success might reflect their unacknowledged feelings of inadequacy. Moving beyond reactive patterns requires conscious engagement with your own shadow. Notice when someone's hostility triggers disproportionate responses in you. These triggering moments often point to your own unintegrated material. Perhaps their passive-aggressive behavior enrages you because it mirrors how you unconsciously express anger. Maybe their subtle rejection wounds you deeply because it touches old abandonment patterns. Use these insights to transform your reactions into responses. Instead of meeting unconscious hostility with unconscious defense, bring consciousness to the dynamic. Setting boundaries doesn't require meeting hostility with hostility. Develop what Jung called the conscious persona, a way of engaging that acknowledges both surface and depth dynamics. When someone delivers a backhanded compliment, you might calmly name the contradiction. I notice your words are positive, but they leave me feeling diminished. I wonder what's happening between us. This direct but non-aggressive approach often disrupts unconscious patterns, creating opportunity for more authentic interaction. You're neither absorbing their hostility nor reflecting it back, but inviting consciousness into the dynamic. Authentic relationships emerge through integration rather than perfection. Accept that all relationships contain elements of both love and hate, admiration and envy, connection and separation. This acceptance doesn't mean tolerating abuse, but understanding the complex nature of human interaction. As you develop your capacity to hold these contradictions consciously, you'll find yourself attracting relationships with others who can do the same. The goal isn't to eliminate shadow aspects, but to engage with them consciously, creating space for genuine connection that includes all aspects of human nature.